What's up, everybody? I hope everybody is doing well. Got a couple of interesting stories that I wanted to bring up today. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, depending on where you are across the world right now. Damn, it's already July the 6th. The summer is halfway over. And, man, it seems like that July 4th break just didn't last long enough, but whatever. Before I get into this organ harvesting story, I will do a separate video on this, but Carolyn Bryant must be indicted for her role in the murder and kidnapping of Emmett Till. This woman is still alive. This woman is 80 years old, and she lied, and her husband, murdered Emmett Till, was acquitted during trial, and then later confessed to murdering Emmett Till. We've all seen the photo that was first put on I believe it was Jet Magazine all those years ago, and the decision that Emmett Till's mother made, that she wanted the world to see what they had did to her son. Just really quick, I just want to put this out here because I don't understand why, if there is an active arrest warrant for Carolyn Bryant, why is that arrest warrant not being served upon her? I don't care if she's 80. We all have to pay for the things that we do, right? Regardless. If she had been on the run, on the FBI's top 10 most wanted for the last 50 years, do you think that they would care? No, they'd put her ass in jail and then put her on trial. What do they always tell? What do the police always tell us? Tell it to the judge. Tell it to the judge. Well, let her tell it to the judge. Just like these crooked ass cops that are out here slaughtering Americans, daily. Let them tell it to the judge. Let that special treatment that they keep getting, this is my department, and, he's been a really good cop for the last 6 months that he's been on the force here. He's been a really good cop. I don't necessarily want to charge him. I don't even want to make the decision. I'll move it over to the DA and let him make the decision. But meanwhile, this killer cop is walking around free, right? I haven't even been able to bring myself to even talk about this case regarding this young man in Ohio that was brutally murdered. 60 shots from his head to his toe. I can't even do that right now. I just can't. That shit makes me so fucking angry that if there's anything that I absolutely hate in this world, that I've always hated since I could remember, was crooked ass cops. And just the fact that I have a general distrust of police, just period. I don't feel the same that others feel when it comes to police and cops and shit like that. All that backing the blue and all that. Listen, I don't necessarily feel that way. Y'all are welcome to feel however you want to feel. But I just feel like even defunding them, there's so many crooked ass cops in every police organization. They are the biggest gang in America, and they use the laws and the legalities to enact their gang vengeance on the public, which is it's just, it falls back into a whole lot of shit. And it's exactly another reason why this woman has not been arrested, yet there is an active arrest warrant for this woman, Carolyn Bryant. Why has that sheriff not served that warrant? I mean, when did it become okay to put your emotions and feelings and, how you feel about something? What about how Emmett Till's parents felt when they had to bury him? It's just, it's stuff that shouldn't even have to be said as far as I'm concerned. And on top of that, and I'll get off of this here and we'll move on. But on top of that, there has been an infiltration of white supremacists in police organizations in every major city in America, a purposeful infiltration. And there has been documentaries done on this, okay? If you just do your research, you can, read up about it for yourself. But white supremacists have infiltrated every single major police organization in every major city in this country. Period. They cannot be trusted, okay? It is all out fucking war. And then when you got people like Gavin Long, people like the man in Dallas, Micah, right? Okay? And then when they bust shots on these police officers out here because of all of the pain and, or who knows, they may have lost someone that they knew in their personal life by a police officer. How many of you all know someone that has lost their life from overkill by a cop? My hand is up. My 14-year-old goddaughter lost her father not even 7-8 years ago. One of my classmates shot over 100 times, but y'all didn't hear about that. Happened in a little old town here in East Texas. R.I.P. to Stephen Presley. He had several children left behind. And we don't never get the truth from these people. Accountability where? So yeah, I haven't been able to touch that story at this time, but I will. But before we get on to this very crazy story we're going to talk about, in which there is a whole organ harvesting operation going on, and a Nigerian senator, highest sitting senator, and his wife have been arrested in the United Kingdom for kidnapping a boy off the streets of Lagos, a 15-year-old boy, so that they could harvest his organs because they have a daughter who has kidney failure. And they kidnapped this boy, allegedly, of course, to take his organs from him to give them to their dying daughter. But before we get to that,
7 years since Emmett Till was abducted, tortured, and lynched in Mississippi after the 14-year-old black boy from Chicago who was visiting family in Mississippi was accused of making advances at a white woman. In an amazing discovery last week, a team searching a Mississippi courthouse basement for evidence in the case uncovered an unserved 1955 arrest warrant charging that same woman for Till's kidnapping. Included in that team were relatives of Till. They're now calling for the woman, Carolyn Bryant, now in her 80s, to be arrested. Donham was married to one of the two white men who were tried and acquitted for Till's brutal murder, shockingly, by an all-white jury. Maybe not so shockingly, given this country's history. They later confessed to the killing. The arrest warrant against Donham was publicized at the time. But get this, the sheriff told reporters that he did not want to, quote, bother Ms. Bryant, since she had two young children to care for. American history. With me now is Deborah Watts, Emmett Till's cousin and co-founder of the Emmett Till.
And listen, excuse me, I'll put a link to this video if you'd like to go finish watching it. There's nothing else that, I'm sure that, I'm not going to sit here for 6 minutes because, listen, there's no reason why that woman should not be arrested, period. So they know about it now, okay? The sheriff there knows about this arrest warrant now. This woman is still alive, and there is no time restriction on murder. Okay? There's no statute of limitations on murder anywhere in America. So I'll leave it at that. Carolyn Bryant should be indicted. She should be arrested and let her go to trial at 80. Her crime was very egregious. You know, the fact that they would even sit there and force the taxpayers and the people they was in good with, the judges and the DAs and the prosecution and all that, to sit up there and force a trial, and that your husband murdered that young boy, and then you still lie for 80 years, and you sitting up comfy in your home. Your husband done passed away now. You're sitting around comfy in your home to live to be an old woman, and you haven't paid for your crime, because it was her crime that started and kicked all that shit off in the first place, right? Why would you lie on the young boy? Like, that would be the one question I'd want to ask her. Like, why would you lie on the young boy? And I bet you even now, after all these years, she'd still continued lying about what happened that day. I mean, it just don't even matter, man. It's just the untrustworthiness of people. Anyway, let's get to this case, okay? Now I'm gonna put it out here like this, all right? I will say I'm an organ donor. I am an organ donor. I think that's on my ID too, right? I became an organ donor. Well, I became really strong about being an organ donor after my health situation happened when I was 26 years old, right? Diagnosed with a brain tumor. It's not a cancerous one. It's a benign one, slow grower, but still causes issues, okay? So I had to have surgery and all that type of stuff. And there was a very long recovery process for me. And my kids were very young, very, very young. I mean, my oldest was only 12. And my youngest was in kindergarten when that shit happened to me. And I was on my own with them, right? At that time. And I became an organ donor, obviously. Now, not all my organs are going to be nice and fruitful for doctors, because the older you get, right, the worse your organs get too. But okay, so, obviously they're not transplanting brains, but my corneas may be, help somebody see again. My heart may help somebody else continue their life for 10 more years. There's nothing that I'm going to do with it when I'm dead. So to me, I find it to be on the good side of all that type of genetic and manipulation of genetics and all that type of thing. That's just because that's my personal choice, all right? But there's also people that have a personal choice, religious, spiritual, whatever it may be. They're like, no, I will not be an organ donor, and my organs will go with me when I die. And I respect the decision of, it's your organs, right? But imagine having a child who gets sick and their kidneys start to fail, right? And I just want to give a real quick shout out to my sister, Zucchini. She just successfully went through getting her a kidney transplant, and she's doing so much better now. I mean, life got really hard, like that, what do they call it? When you got to filter your system, dialysis. And she was going like 3 and 4 times a week. I mean, oh my God. They are making, I know, dialysis machines that people can use in their homes, but just the burden of having to do that to survive long enough that you might get a kidney, right? And someone generally has to die for you to get an organ. Live transplants don't really happen too much. I know with kidneys, they happen a lot more, but it's not like you can just give somebody your heart. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? That sort of a thing, right? So, and of course, when COVID happened, a lot of that decreased, and people are waiting 4 and 5 years. My sister waited like 5 years to get a kidney. But like, you've got to literally keep filtering your body out so that you can survive long enough to get said kidney. So if you have to wait 5 years, man, you're going to have to be really on top of your health and on top of your game, right? For those 5 years. But what if you could get your hands on $50,000 or $20,000 and you could just go buy a kidney? It's a whole system set up. You get a connection. You connect in, and who wouldn't be willing to drop $20,000, $50,000 to get their child a kidney? You're sitting there watching your child suffer, right? But even in times like that, that's when you just got to give it to God, man. You got to give it to God. And you don't inflict crimes and murder on others, even to save your own. And that's a hard thing to say, because honestly, I'm not even going to sit here and lie. God forbid anything like that ever happen. There's no question in my mind that that wouldn't be something I would think about. I would never want to, murder somebody or take somebody's life to harvest their organs and nothing like that. I'm talking about, can you get me to the front of the list type shit? I'm not even going to lie to you. We're talking about death, life or death here. So, I'm not even going to lie. But what went down with these two is way deeper, and it also exposes a massive organ harvesting operation that is happening in Nigeria. People, teenagers, youngsters are getting kidnapped off the streets of Lagos. Okay? Getting fake papers, fake passports, being flown into the UK where they're taking their organs out of their body. Y'all remember Hostel? Was it Hostel? Y'all remember the movie where, the group of kids went over to South America, and I don't think it was Hostel, but it was something around that, right? And this shit really happens. These kids go down, for a vacation, spring break vacation in a South American country. They all have fun one night, get to drinking and get drugged up and then get robbed, right? But really, the whole time, the goal was to get their organs, right? I mean, they ended up capturing them and literally cutting their organs out of them to give to those in their community that need kidneys and heart transplants and cornea transplants and, liver transplants and all this. Like, y'all, this stuff is really happening, and it's big money. It is big money. Again, I've heard numbers that you could go to India and buy a kidney for $5,000. And because people have two, right? It's like a common thing that they're willing to sell at least one of those kidneys, because that $5,000 goes a long way for them. But do you think they really get the whole 5,000? Because I've heard a whole lot of stories that some of them only end up with a couple hundred, some only maybe 2,000 or 3,000 type stuff. But listen to this story here, all right? Nigerian senator and his wife have been arrested by the United Kingdom police. All right, think London, okay? They were arrested at Heathrow Airport. They This is they allege that these two plotted to traffic a homeless 15-year-old boy from Lagos to the United Kingdom to harvest his organs to give to their daughter who has kidney failure. But thank God they were arrested in Heathrow with $20,000 in cash on them, all right, before this deed could be done. And you know they're hooked up with doctors, okay? They got a whole network going on. And to get into this network, I mean, you're going to have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody for real, right? Very secretive, right? Almost like, you know, as I was referring to those movies, those like those Hostel type movies, you know, or there's people that pay to commit murders in places all over the world to commit some of the most brutal methods of murder and bid and pay top dollar. Get an American? Yeah, I'll give you, you know, $500,000. You give me a place where I can murder them in any brutal way, brutal fashion that I want. If you think that that shit really doesn't go down, your mind is not expanded, my friend, because I'm telling you. Now, the wife, age 55, the husband, age 60, both from Nigeria, right? The husband, and I'm sorry, I'm not able to say his name, and I don't want to mess it up, but I'm just going to call him, you know, Mr. E, is a People's Democratic Party politician, all right, from Nigeria. He was once deputy president of Nations Senate and is a principal in a law firm. His wife is also an academic and doctor in Abuja. They were visiting the UK back in June, all right? And they brought along with them this 15-year-old child who they trafficked for his organs. This kid was found. He had been on the streets for 3 days, from my understanding. Was found by police. Not sure if he ran away. I'm not sure. But they were going to take this living boy's organs out of him and give them to his daughter. What doctor was going to do that? Okay. So you know this shit is mainstream. These types of operations, big money, mainstream, right? They appeared in court. And my understanding is that bail was denied for both of them. They purposely allege, this is all alleged, that they purposely plotted to traffic that child. As again, he was stolen off the streets of Lagos. He has been a Democratic Party politician for 19 years. Okay. The court heard that the couple, who have 4 children and a house in Willesden, North London, hoped to transplant the boy's organs to their daughter, who suffers from kidney failure. Police were alerted to potential offenses under modern slavery laws last month about these two. They arrested the couple at Heathrow Airport as they were attempting to board a plane to Turkey, where it was suggested that the procedure could take place. So it doesn't look like the doctor was in the UK. It looks like the doctor's in Turkey. So they were going to fly to Turkey. So there is some doctor out there in Turkey right now who's willing to murder a 15-year-old kid and take the organs out to put them in another human being for the money. That this is really, really happening. The father had $20,000 on him at the time of his arrest. Now this child, this 15-year-old child, who, by the way, this couple, they got a passport for this child and claimed he was 21 years old, but he's really only 15. He is now under the care of authorities in the Metropolitan Police in London. These two are charged with conspiracy to arrange or facilitate travel of another person with a view to exploitation, namely organ harvesting. The prosecutor, has said, quote, "It is conspiracy in relation to human trafficking offenses for the purposes of organ harvesting. The victim in this case is 15 years old," end quote. And then you start to think about all the people that just show up missing off the streets of even America, just never to be seen again. Surely you guys know that that whole umbrella of everything missing. You know, you've got the crazy sexual attackers that murder, people that go missing every single year. I mean, it's all sorts of categories. And one of those categories is organ harvesting. Selling kidnapped children for slavery purposes so that they can, I'll give you $20,000 for such and such, and he can clean my house for the next 25, 30 years type shit. This shit is really happening. Not to even mention the fact of, I'll give you $50,000 for little Tim, so that I can sexually abuse him and do whatever I want to him. But, when you post, what you got, what the stock is on the website, make sure you list it as furniture pieces. This really is going down. There was a huge scandal. Queen's Throne covered this scandal, the Wayfair scandal, in which furniture items being sold at ridiculous prices, but each item was matched to an actual child that was being sold online. And we ain't talking dark web here. We're talking they took it mainstream to Wayfair, And some may call it an urban legend, but I looked into that with Queen as well, really, really hardcore. And I'm telling you, it's a lot going on on the internet that some of y'all would never even believe. That you would never even believe. Now, these two have denied allegations of human trafficking. They've said at no stage had they arranged transport for anyone with the intention to exploit them. The wife also similarly denied the allegation in her statement, but they still continue to stay in jail. Again, they have a home there in London, but bail has not been given or granted.
Biggest stories from here, Nigeria, but happening in the UK. Former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, alongside his wife, have both been remanded in custody in the United Kingdom, charged with conspiracy to arrange or facilitate travel of another person with a view to exploitation, namely organ harvesting. Organ harvesting involves removing parts of the body, often for cash, and against the victim's will. According to the Metropolitan Police, an investigation was launched after detectives were alerted to potential offences under modern slavery legislation in May 2022. Our London correspondent, Nwanneka, has more.
Well, pretty disturbing news coming out of the UK this morning, and that is that a Nigerian man and woman have both been detained and charged by the Metropolitan Police's Specialist Crime Unit for conspiring to arrange the travel of a child into the UK in order to harvest organs. One is a Beatrice Ekweremadu, and the second individual is Ike Ekweremadu. And I believe it's that second name, isn't it, that's causing shockwaves, I would say, not just in Nigeria, but across the international community, because if it is indeed, as some media outlets are speculating, the former Deputy Senate President, then this individual was once one of the most powerful politicians in Nigeria. Now, I believe the People's Democratic Party, with which he served under, have been approached for a comment. They have refused to comment thus far, but I do believe that this story is likely to pick up over the next couple of days. One of the reasons why is because it is is a big story here in the UK at the moment. The Home Secretary, Priti Patel, alongside Prime Minister Boris Johnson, are grappling with the migrant crisis. And the European Union say that one of the real issues is organ harvesting, and a lot of these human traffickers, if they're not able to get these asylum seekers to pay for their illegal travel, then they are using their bodies to harvest their organs. So it is a very serious issue. It is an ongoing criminal investigation. So the Metropolitan Police say they are not going to provide further details just yet. But as always, we are on the ground. As soon as we have any further information, we will be giving it to you. Juliana Olayinka reporting for Channels TV News outside of Scotland Yard in London.
Thanks, Juliana. And neither the lawmaker nor his aides have commented on the development, but a source familiar with the issue has told Channels Television on condition of anonymity that Senator Ike Ekweremadu's child has been suffering from a kidney disease and needed a transplant. The source says a donor was gotten and sent to the UK for investigation with the aim of providing a kidney. However, the investigation showed the kidney did not match that of Senator Ekweremadu's child. Subsequently, the donor was scheduled to return to Nigeria. According to the source, the donor refused to return to Nigeria and instead reported to the UK police to seek asylum.
Wow. Wow. That is some evil shit. Okay. That is evil. But at the same time, and I'm not even really playing devil's advocate here, but what would you do if that was your child that needed a kidney? Would you, as a parent, it's almost an impossible question to ask a parent, right? Again, I ain't down with no murder or nothing like that, okay? Or straight up just taking some unwitting child off the street so I can take their kidneys out of them, or their liver, or their heart, or whatever, where they lose their life, okay? No way. But I'm not going to sit up here and say that if I, couldn't get bumped up on a list with a little extra cash, I would absolutely probably do something like that. So we're talking about my life, right? Or my child's life. But murderers, that takes it too far. And listen, I know there's all the talk about these lists and, how they manage these lists. The fact people are on them for 4 to 5 years before they even manage to get an organ. Listen, it is what it is. And some people don't have 4 or 5 years. Their bodies ain't going to make it 4 or 5 years. So some people go other routes, and that's just the truth of the matter. And it is something that we should definitely bring to the forefront. But this right here, from some of the research that I've been doing, like I said before, this is a massive operation. Like, this is going down in an organized fashion where children and youngsters are literally being kidnapped off the streets for their organs. I will be back later. I have a couple other stories that I will be covering, especially on the Crime and Investigations page. And I would say, until next time. But before I even say that, please do not forget that Brittany Griner is currently on trial in Russia. She wrote a handwritten letter to Biden, who, for some odd reason, didn't even want to acknowledge that he had received this letter, which was hand-delivered to the White House Monday morning. And here we are, on Wednesday, and President Biden has still not picked up the phone to contact Cheryl Griner, President Biden's response has been to speak to the media. I don't know. A very poor response on Joe Biden's part. I thought, I would just think he's better than that. I would hope, just from a human being's perspective, he would be better than that. But you just can't trust none of these politicians, man. None of them. The fact that he has not even picked up a telephone. I wonder how many times he's picked up a telephone since Monday morning, though. The fact that he won't even call this woman. It is just beyond disgusting. And I noticed that he's starting to get heat for his horrible response, and good for him. Y'all keep sticking it to his ass. Now, I'll say until next time. Bye, guys.
It's beyond the beat.